A language that's not solidity, and making them understand that it's worth putting the time and effort into that, and that we're going to be there to help them, and that kind of specific marketing, and that there's a lot going on. For me, marketing is going to be as much about giving voice and airtime and exposure to the people that are building on Algorand as it is to, Algorand itself. And I think that's also going to be a really important vertical of it. And very little about what the foundation is doing, because nobody cares nobody cares about, how many verticals the foundation has or where the employees are at the foundation or whatever. It's just not about us. It's about the community, and it's about the protocol, and it's about the coin, right?
It's about the memes. I mean, more memes. If you could, chief meme officer would go a long way.
Right. But again, I'm just not that guy, right? I got somebody, hipper than I am has to be kind of running with that.
One quick thought is I've been told that really the grassroots style build out of the Ethereum community was largely in part of people in their local area hosting meetup groups and just engaging people locally who are interested in blockchain development. And I've seen how successful that is as far as the build out of the data science community. You get people, just in my local area here, we can get people of all levels of experience, from people who've just heard about data science up to professors who are willing to come and speak to the groups on weekends. So any support from the foundation as far as encouraging people to host meetups and develop these communities locally, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's also going to be part of why we're just going to quadruple the headcount in this area, because we just need bodies, honestly, to help us do this. I wanted to say one thing about the NFT stuff in particular. I don't know, did anybody see what's happening with the World Wildlife Fund in the UK with the NFT that they did on Polygon? So World Wildlife Fund, I mean, those guys are rabid. Their community are rabid environmentalists, and Polygon, convinced the World Wildlife Fund that they were, carbon neutral. And, the fact that they speak back to Ethereum and Ethereum isn't, they had an uprising, and the World Wildlife Fund had to cancel the NFTs that they started. And then, of course, now everybody's mad at them. The environmentalists are mad at them. The people that bought the NFTs are mad at them. And it's tricky, right? And that just would never have been a problem if they had done it on Algorand. And so, tactically for that particular example, we're going to reach out to the World Wildlife Fund. I know them from my past lives. And to see if we can kind of help them maybe try to salvage the situation. But more broadly, it's fraught out there. It's hard. And we, I think, have a real opportunity to just corner this space, because we're the ones that have the legit claim to the things that those guys care about, right? The environmental claims, I mean.
I think publicizing the partnership that we have with ClimateWorks, I think that would be very powerful. And engagement with the National Park Services even. We have so many national parks here in the U.S., but there's so many wonderful heritage sites and places in the world. I saw some very interesting things just the other day. Yeah, I saw some very interesting things just the other day from a group that's making NFTs related to national parks.
Ryan, you had a question. You raised your hand before.
Yeah, I did. Stacy, I can't wait to see you again in a couple of days. Wanted to have you focus a little bit of what you're looking forward to at ETHDender. I know that you're hosting, of course, a women's breakfast on Wednesday morning. Any alpha you want to share about that would be awesome for the community. But more importantly, outside of that, who are you looking forward to connecting with? This has primarily been in ETH space and ETH builders space, but we are there in force with the development community. Who you're both looking forward to connecting with, and what's your message to those?
Yeah, so I am. So first of all, I never ever thought in a million years that these words would ever come out of my mouth. But I'm replacing Silvio Macaulay as one of the keynote speakers on the Thursday evening. So I'm really looking forward to that. I get 10 minutes to talk about the story. And I've got a couple of, as you know, a couple of announcements that we're pretty excited about. In addition to that, we are running, and Ryan, you can probably do a better job about the details of this, and you should do that on this call. But I know that we have a couple of days. Well, we have more than a couple of days, but I think a couple of official days. But I think we've got teams showing up even today, right, Ryan?
Yes, correct. We're arriving today.
Yeah, arriving today. So but I've got the women's breakfast that I'm hosting on Thursday morning. No boys allowed, as you can imagine. And on Wednesday, I'm moderating a panel about developers and with some of our big funding partners to talk about how we, access talent and kind of what's going on and how they think about it. And then there's a couple of events in the evening that I'll be going to. And otherwise, I think I'm pretty order aroundable in term. And then we're going to do another breakfast with some of our stakeholders to just kind of make sure that we're understanding what everybody want. When I talk to people, most everybody is telling me what they think I should do. Like you guys are telling me what you think I should do. This is par for the course, and I'm definitely in listening mode. So there'll be a couple of more opportunities for that in Denver as well. And then I've got some press that I'm doing. I think I've got 3 or 4. Maybe 2 or 3 different press engagements, and otherwise just trying to meet people that are there. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. We're looking forward. Well, I will follow on to what you asked. And so, yes, the Algorand DevRel team are arriving to Denver today. We kicked off the build week on Friday. Algorand are offering 50,000 in prizes to the top teams that are building onto the Algorand virtual machine. We're super excited to connect with everybody there in person. And also, of course, these prizes are also available for developers building virtually who cannot be in person. But we will be there from today. And then the Algo Ranch opens on Tuesday afternoon. We'll be having in-person developer office hours. So if you are in Denver and you are building on Algorand, sign up for the Algo Ranch. That's at info.algorand.com/ETHDenver. See what's going on there. Sign up for in-person office hours. We have a full day of programming on Wednesday and also on Thursday. We've got workshops in the afternoon that my team will be kicking off from 1300 local. And also we have the team from Reach doing their workshop as well at 1500 local, and some parties going on. We are really looking forward to connecting with you guys online, of course, at the Discord server. So those that are building virtually, we can also help you there. Can't wait to connect with everybody, and let's build on Algorand.
And you'll have swag as well, Ryan, won't you?
Well, of course. And we're even going to have a mint your own NFT. So if you're in person, we're going to have all sorts of accomplished NFT artists who are going to then hand you an iPad and train you how to make your own NFT, and we will be minting that onto the Algorand blockchain, handing it to you. So make sure you come and do that. Those will be super exclusive because it's yours and you made it, and you could only get it at the Algo Ranch. So super excited about that.
I love that Algo Ranch so much. Yeah, so I think that's going to be super cool stuff.
Greg, you had a question?
Yeah, my question is a little bit on a different topic, coming back to supporting the creators and the developers on Algorand itself. Currently, there is a little bit of a blockage and a bottleneck regarding audits and just in general being sure that the smart contracts that you're creating are secure and you can push them to the mainnet, right? Currently, there are 4 or 5 companies that actually do the audits, and all of them are booked pretty much to the middle of this year. So pushing out any new smart contracts, you either have to push them out without an audit or just open source the code and expect the community to read the code itself, which is a little bit difficult. Here at TinyChart, we are basically facing the same problem because we are a little bit waiting on the Algorand Foundation to push this a little bit forward. So I just wanted to ask if there are any plans in regards to audits and what do you plan to do to fix this bottleneck a little bit? And if it cannot be easily fixed, will there be any alternatives to the audits themselves?
Yeah, and Ryan, you may also have some things to say about this, but I will tell you by way of making some comforting noises that I have been hearing about this audits problem a lot. So we are, in terms of the important issues trickling up to me that I need to know about in my first couple of weeks here, audits is really right at the top of that list. And so we're on it. I don't exactly know how we're gonna break this logjam, but my approach to I have a couple of sort of, I guess hardcore approaches to strategy, and one of them is just excuse elimination. So if I can find roadblocks and bottlenecks and excuses for people to not be here, then those are the things that I'm going to target to make sure that we get rid of those. So I know it sounds like a kind of a vacuous answer, but I know about it, and we are going to do something about it.
Yeah, especially because it's entirely dependent on the other companies, and there are simply not enough experts at the moment to have more audits. So I completely understand, but any efforts in that regard would be deeply appreciated.
Yeah, 100%. Ryan, do you have anything to add there?
I think the piece that I'll add to development teams that are out there building on Algorand is make sure that you are checking out Reach. Reach uses formal verification, and it can really help protect your application from the types of programming errors that you might not notice easily. And formal verification is a really important piece to an auditor's toolbox. Can it solve everything? No, I can't say that it can, but if I know that your application was deployed with Reach, I feel very, very confident in interacting with it. So if you're a new team or even an existing team deployed and you are looking to make feature enhancements, come and check out Reach. Again, that's docs.reach.sh. They're doing a workshop on Wednesday with us. They're there in person in Denver at ETH Denver. Go check it out. Reach is definitely a great way to be developing and deploying your applications on the Algorand virtual machine.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
One question regarding that, because all of our smart contracts are written actually in Reach, when we very much like the language. It's, as you said, it's very, very secure. It has a lot of checks. But would you suggest to release the code if it's written in Reach without an audit, or would you still suggest going for the audit themselves before deploying the smart contract?
Yeah, I mean, audits are important, but we have seen on numerous occasions, unfortunately, that smart contracts that are audited can have additional, loopholes to them, right? And again, I personally am going to feel much more confident having that application written in the Reach lang that is open source, that I can go and check, that I can compile it, that I can see what warnings it gave me, and what obviously it passes because it compiles. That makes me feel much better personally. You already illustrated that getting audits at this time is difficult, and that certainly as an industry we need to have more capable auditors out there, or continue to push forward with the tools that can make us as end users feel confident in the applications that we are participating with.
What do you think about bug bounties? I feel like that's like one of the areas where you can kind of just throw money at it, and there's a guaranteed return, if right, like it's a high, maybe not guaranteed, but high chance of return.
I mean, hacks are essentially bug bounties, right? Like every time a hack happens, it's just a really expensive bug bounty. So like but high value bug bounties are super good for the ecosystem for sure.
Yeah, and I'd rather have somebody else front it rather than the project, right? Like it should be the bug bounty shouldn't be something that punishes the project that got hacked. Or maybe it should, I don't know, but like I feel like if Algorand did provided funds for a bug bounty for the ecosystem at large, it might be more effective.
Yeah, I think on bug bounties, something where you're looking at the applications that are getting tremendous use, where a hack could mean, you know, a sort of regression in the entire DeFi ecosystem. I think they're putting up, you know, funds for a bug bounty like could make sense. And I think for like the teams that eventually have like tokens and their own treasury, it is important to offer substantial bug bounties, because for the adversary, they're kind of doing the calculation like how much like quote like, you know, dirty money would I need? Where's the break even? Like, is it 10 times? Is it 20 times? So, you know, bug bounties can get like really high. Like, for example, Wormhole is now offering, I think, $10 million for any protocol draining bug, because, you know, they do support around, I think, 1 billion of TVL. So they're kind of doing like a 100x multiplier. But I think it's kind of like there's a multiplier effect, and there's also like a floor to how much you need to sort of offer.
And the only thing that's tough there too is like every dollar that's spent held in a bug bounty is capital that isn't being deployed to the developers, right? Like, so it feels like it ends up being one of those things where if the team itself has to put up the bug bounty, then that's capital they can't deploy on developers, as opposed to, you know, another agency.
I think Chris spoke about this, the honeypot situation where, you know, Tinyman was sitting there unexploited for like 6 months and nobody touched it until it was worthwhile type thing. So I just wanted to point out what she said earlier, Stacy, about the skill matching developers, entrepreneurs. Personally, right now, I'm onboarding 2 companies to audit for Algo, and one said they don't have like deal flow. That's why they didn't pursue the market. The other is just like, we don't have the experience cross-chain. We have blockchain experience, but the Algo market is hard to break into. So it's kind of matching. Like, I happen to be in the position to match them up, but that's not always the case. So that's one thing where I see like these audit companies, they want to do work for Algo, but they just don't know where to start type thing.
Yeah.
Monty, you had a question?
Hello. Man, I love the fact that there's so many people in here. I felt the need to raise my hand instead of just cutting people off. Like, it's a fantastic room today. And I apologize, I was a few minutes late. I blame Cooper Daniels. We got to talking, and I got a few minutes late. Stacy, I appreciate you being here today. There's such a, you know, when a transition like this happens, you step onto a ship that's already set sail, and there's so many things already in place. You know, there's the foundation's responsibility to grow the community and, you know, to educate young people, bringing more women to blockchain. Monetarily, there's a responsibility, and there has in the past been a lot of focus on encouraging DeFi applications, bridges, super grants. And then there's the whole DAO like shift. And there's a lot of people telling you probably, you know, what needs to be done. I hear a lot of talk about audits and things like that. But I'm wondering, for you, what do you feel like is your forte, and what are you super passionate about when you step into this role? Because there's probably some things that make you really excited about doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, I did talk about this a little bit earlier, and I think for me, really, it's about, I mean, I cannot tell you how ridiculous it is to me that somebody in Nigeria can send a movie to somebody in Malaysia in 5 seconds, but they cannot send $1 to somebody in Malaysia without traveling up the correspondent banking system, clearing at the Fed, and traveling back down the correspondent banking system to Malaysia and getting that money across in, you know, 10 days or 2 weeks. It drives me crazy that, you know, somewhere between 7 and 12% of all remittances are taken away in fees. This stuff is why I get up in the morning. It drives me crazy that somebody and I do a lot of work. I've done a lot of work in Africa in particular in my past, that somebody in many of these countries, you know, you can't even get a bank account unless somebody else with a bank account at that bank can vouch for you and gives you a personal reference. And that, you know, we have 1.7 billion people on this planet without access to a bank account. And the idea that people think financial inclusion is solely about having a bank account, that's the kind of stuff that, for me, is why I fell in love so much with sort of the crypto and blockchain ecosystem broadly back in kind of 2013 when I first started getting involved in it. That, to me, I saw that right away as the global potential for this, and just the idea that of course, things are often, two sides of the same coin. The coin is the same. So when you talk about kind of, gangsters and ransomware and dark web and all of that, the same thing though is what can keep an Afghan woman can keep hard-earned money away from, husbands and fathers and brothers. So this idea that you can open up inclusion in this way. No, but and I think that's the long-term potential. And I think that you are not going to do that without Algorand, because Algorand is the only protocol, in my view, that can scale that global ambition the way that it needs to be, because you cannot have high transaction fees and deliver a value proposition to these countries, right? You cannot have 20 transactions per second and to be able to deliver a value proposition to these communities. So for me, that is absolutely my North Star. Having said that, though, I recognize that we should not be what are we now, 25, right? Like, that is ridiculous to me. And that's what we need to solve right now. That's the problem that we need to solve in 2022. So while I will be driving that, to me, more medium term kind of strategic direction, because I think that's where we make a difference in the world, in 2022, we need to make sure that people know about us, that that Planet Algorand has a really burgeoning economy, that we are going toe to toe with big players in every single vertical that makes up a good Web3 DeFi ecosystem. And so that's where we're going to be putting, our hard thinking and our time and our energy and our resources right now.
I'm so happy, Stacy, that you remind everybody that the main goal of blockchain is to just bank the unbanked. That's the very first step we need to do, and that's the biggest goal and the most precious goal we should all have. And because people we sometimes lose track of what's happening, just focusing on making some rich guys or even richer, and when the bottom of the humanity is suffering so much. And yeah, I've seen like crazy misery when I was in Nigeria. Actually, I'm glad you talked about Nigeria, because I think we should all focus on Nigeria. That's the biggest community of users of blockchain, but they don't have the right tools right now. And it's yeah.
But it's the same thing as the points made earlier about the creator economy as well. I mean, that the idea that you need to better capture the value that you create, and for the creator economy, that's a very straightforward, easy to understand proposition. But in developing countries, the idea that you are generating data that could be captured for your benefit in terms of providing you with a credit score and enabling you to access funds that you couldn't before. And then when you're able to access funds, you can show a repayment history there, and on the basis of that, you can build up some kind of credit standing, and then from that you can get insurance and savings products, and you can pull yourself up the financial inclusion ladder. To me, that's a very meaningful thing to pursue, and I think we are uniquely the ones to be able to do that.
Thank you so much for reminding that to everybody.
Yeah, thanks for that. I wanted to respond to something you said earlier, where you said there's a dichotomy, or like a disconnect between being a green blockchain and performance. I actually think that there's more of a disconnect between being a green blockchain and being decentralized and secure. And I think a lot of the discourse that I see is that people are willing to make the sacrifice to use Ethereum, and it's more expensive and slower because they believe that the proof of work system is more secure and decentralized than a lot of the proof of stake chains. So how do you want to approach this issue of Algorand being a proof of stake chain, pure proof of stake in technicality, and also being decentralized and having the Algo Foundation not feel like I don't know, a cloud, or like an overseer of the whole thing? I think, like, in a marketing standpoint, it's important for a lot of crypto natives that it doesn't feel like there's a company above the chain. So how do you want to approach that?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And we rolled out the second governance question to really, this year we're really going to lay down the framework of how we want this decentralized governance to look like. And so we need to get a couple of very core questions answered from the community in order for us to do that. So that's the approach that we're going to take there. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a little bit, there's always going to be a tension by from the things that you need to prioritize and you need to get done and the amount of decentralization that you're eventually going to get to. But I don't think that's going to be, a difficult path to walk, honestly.
Will you ever be able to give a timeline on when, not that I'm asking you to do it right now, but I'm wondering, will the Algo Foundation ever be able to give a timeline on when it will be, like, when they'll basically step out and not be working? Will that ever be a thing? Or will there always be the Algo Foundation working?
Well, in terms of a timeline, I'm just trying to think back to any work that we've already done on this. And I don't think that we've put any, markers in the sand there. And I think it would be irresponsible for us to do this right now. But, we don't expect to, live forever, for sure. That's not, what we're about. Since I've only been here for 3 weeks, I'm sort of not really focused on that right now. I'm focused on the fact that I am here, not the fact that I'm going to be walking out the door. But of course, I take your point, and that is something that the whole ecosystem thinks about a lot. Of course.
What parallels can we draw from the ETH Foundation regarding that question?
I don't know. What parallels can you draw from the ETH Foundation regarding that question?
It's still here.
Yeah, how much control do they have over the network? That's kind of the point, right?
I mean, somebody still has to ship changes, so somebody's got to do it. I mean, like, somebody's got to be there and, do this stuff. So, I mean, the ETH Foundation has changed a lot, but there's still people shipping changes there, So it's just very, very big.
We are lucky to have Kelly today. How are you, Kelly? How are you doing?
I'm good, Bilal. Hello, Stacey. Welcome.
Hi,
to
Kelly.
your first official. Very exciting.
Yeah, I hope you were here when I was singing your praises earlier.
I was not, but thank you. No, I'm super. We can do that again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm super excited that Stacey's here. I'm glad she's joined today so that you all get a chance to meet her. I know there's been some angst in things that, us here at the Inc., right? I work for the Boston-based technology company that built this. And I think there's a lot more that the foundation, which Stacey is running point on, is going to be able to do with her at the helm. So I'm super, super excited.
Lots of hundreds popping up all over the place. Boy, Kelly, I didn't get all those hundreds like you do. You are really good with the crowd here.
Stick around for a little while, Stacey. No, I'm excited. I'm also excited that I think a number of you on here I'm going to see next week. I was not going to go to ETH Denver, but as it turns out, I am coming out for 48 hours. So I'm looking forward to seeing a number of lovely faces again that I haven't seen since back in November. So that's exciting.
So Ryan did give us a little bit on that. Do you want to say anything about ETH Denver though?
Shamir, there've been a lot of people from both the Inc. and the foundation across both organizations. I know Chris Swenner's on here as well. But there's been a ton of work with the Reach team, the Algorand Foundation, the Algorand Inc., the DevRel teams pulling together. I think what's going to be a tremendous couple of days. I know that ETH Denver has over 13,000 some odd people that have applied to participate and be there. I know we have thousands of people that have registered for our Broadway space, the Broadway Market, which is the Algo Ranch. I know we've put together a day of programming. They're keeping the webpage up to date. If you haven't had time to get your name on that list, please make sure you do. And I think, I think there's some great stuff coming. I know people have reached out with some things that they want to share with the community this week specifically. And I think it's great. I think there's so much, I think Stacey being here is fantastic. I also think, it's been a little bit quiet on the Algorand front for the past week or two, maybe even longer than that. And crypto in general has sort of been in a bit of a lull. And I think we're going to come out of that with some of the announcements that I think people in our community want to share with, new on-ramps, off-ramps, new achievements, advancements. And I'm looking forward to that. So it'll be good. Stacey, I know you're going to be on stage at ETH Denver. So I think that's a good testament to sort of welcoming, I know you all have been here for a while. I know you all know how great the DevRel tooling is and the resources and how much work Chris Swenner and the Reach team are doing. I think it's going to be exciting to see sort of us, Stacy, you personally sort of open your arms up to the broader developer community. We've seen a ton of growth in the Discord communities, and I think what the foundation is going to be able to do for the developers in the coming months is going to be awesome.
Yeah, but Kelly, they've already been trying to shake me down on this call for what I'm going to say in my speech, and so far I've been able to resist.
Have you written that yet, Stacy?
I'll be reading it out loud, word for word, with a piece of paper in front of my face.
No, there's even, I know some people are aware of this because everyone's paying attention to things, but the, even the release coming up, which I think is in beta, is going to be slated for mainnet sometime in the next few weeks. There's a number of opportunities that are opened up with the contract to contract calls, with some of the Falcon Key stuff, which sort of starts the engine for post-quantum resiliency of Algorand. There's a lot over, and not just, Stacy, not just things you're going to say and whatever your speech might be, that's exciting, but and community announcements, but just over the next month or two, I think there's some great stuff going on within Algorand.
Kelly, it's our Valentine's gift to the community. Tomorrow we go to BetaNet with AVM 1.1, and it'll be in mainnet a couple weeks later. So happy Valentine's Day, developers.
Are we calling that Happy Valentine's Day or like Happy Super Bowl?
Hey, you're head of marketing. I'm just Devrel here.
Is there anything about 1.1 you want to share that people don't know?
Ryan, you can be way more. I think at my top level is contract calls and the Falcon keys, and I think there's some ABI stuff, but you should speak a little bit on that too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You nailed the big things right there. Essentially making it possible for developers to have one smart contract call another smart contract within the Teal language. Certainly introducing post-quantum security with Falcon keys, the work that Chris Parker does.
Hey, Ryan, on the contract-to-contract calls, what do you think is going to be the first use case? What's the first super exciting real live thing? Swenner, you might know this too, but what's contract calls goes live in mainnet. What's the first exciting use case that's going to be using that tech?
I think that this really opens a door for smart NFTs
cool.
Because now we can have a contract instantly mint in ASA. Swanner, what do you got?
Sure. You've been hearing me talk about, and sorry everybody I was late. Today was birthday date with my daughter, which I had a lot of fun with. So got back from that. Still actually dressed up, which if you know me in person, that alone is surprising. But anyway, so yes, of course, been talking about smart NFTs. I think smart NFTs are going to be huge. There's actually both the Game Jam protocol and Monarch are both taking advantage of smart NFTs. But one of the things I'm really excited about, especially with all of this DeFi coming, and I haven't heard anybody really talking about, is automated yield farming. I think that this is it's going to be a major thing that's going to be available. That is completely open for somebody to come in and really take advantage of.
And John Clark, you must also have some use cases. Or maybe not.
Oh, Algofam doesn't want to let anything out of the...
No, I need to let someone go for John Clark to step in. So I need to... Yeah.
Well, I know.
Let me out. I'll listen for a while.
Well, I do know that on the Algofy side, AVM 1.1 contract calls will it will empower a lot more composability, and what that means for anyone who doesn't know is a lot of the steps involved in the DeFi protocol will be compacted into one step. So you'll be able to do multiple actions with one thing. And I'm going to let John talk more about it, but yeah, that's basically the intro to it.
Yeah, contract-to-contract calls are very cool because now developers don't just interact with smart contracts via SDKs. They can actually start to build on top of existing smart contracts. So like Chris Wiener's example of yield farming is on point. Now someone can, in an automated fashion, take money, put it into a pool on, say, Tinyman Humble Swap, the DEX that we're launching, they can also put that into the lending market. You could actually compose interactions where someone can go borrow money, do a trade, and then repay their loan in the same transaction, and that can be run by one smart contract call. Exactly. So contract-to-contract calls are huge. That's actually like one of the largest tech advancements to bringing the DeFi ecosystem in Algorand like on par with what you can do in Ethereum, where it's just like an assumed thing that Solidity-based smart contracts can call each other. So I'm super excited about that.
So collateraless loans, right? You could have collateraless loans, yeah.
Precisely, and we're actually launching. Well, we're already launching flash loans in our DEX coming out next Monday. But you can now you can instruct these calls via another smart contract instead of the user having to do it. Another smart contract can like abstract that away for you. So very, very, very exciting stuff. And I think there's going to be so many things built on top of the existing protocols with contract-to-contract calls. So stuff that I can't even like think of today is going to come out this year.
Saxo said you had a question, maybe?
Well, yes, thank you. And it's Stacy. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's kind of it's really refreshing to have someone come and meet with the community. I usually it's interesting because there's so many different aspects of the ecosystem, and some are very technical. And I try to basically, what I do is try to present all of that information to the community, to the new, for adoption purposes, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in here who have listened and there's different aspects that they don't understand. So I kind of use some of the, I use Market Maker and some of the other more well-known developers and project managers to come in and kind of explain that stuff. So I really appreciate you taking the time to engage with the community. It's kind of new and refreshing. I just wanted to ask you, for the people who just came in and have been listening, can you just tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, and why you chose Algorand and how you got here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one thing I do want to say up front in terms of new and refreshing, it is 2:00 in the morning for Sean when you guys are holding this call, right? So it's, no harm, no foul that he doesn't on a Sunday night at 1 or 2 in the morning, call into it every week. But to answer your question, okay, I I think I have talked about this a couple of different times on the call. So, but I started out as a development economist. So I was very much an economist. I worked for 7 years for a very famous development economist named Jeffrey Sachs, and did a lot of work initially in Latin America. I moved from that increasingly more towards finance, and it became more apparent to me that financial systems need to function properly in order for the private sector to develop, and that there is a virtuous circle that drives prosperity and growth. And that virtuous circle goes like this. People have savings, and instead of having to put those savings in bank accounts where in many countries they earn on a real basis, a negative interest rates on a real basis on their savings, instead of doing that, they could have a well-functioning capital markets and financial markets that would enable them to place their savings where the use of that savings would be most productive, in the private sector. That private sector, that savings could then fuel the private sector so that it can grow, hire more people, pay those people better wages. That generates savings. And so people with higher wages have higher savings, and that's the virtuous circle that gets you to growth. So it's a very private sector driven approach to growth. And that was, I think, an evolution for me to really understand that started, when I was at the Harvard Institute for International Development to start. And then I moved to the U.S. Treasury Department. And there's a lot of Reddit chatter, by the way, about me being at the Treasury Department and what that might mean for Algorand and a CBDC. And I will say that I was in the International Debt Office, and I ran debt for developing countries, and I ran debt forgiveness and a bunch of stuff around some of the big issues of the day back then, Argentina blowing up, HIPAA, that kind of thing. So I was not involved in the U.S. dollar part of Treasury. But then from Treasury, I went to the NASDAQ, and I ran the 2 micro cap markets for the NASDAQ. And again, the kind of the focus there was like small and medium-sized enterprises and how they could get access to capital to grow. And when I left the NASDAQ to go to JP Morgan, again, I ran a public sector practice, which was very focused at the time on Europe and the Middle East, and I really built out that practice in Africa. And again, very much focused on helping governments and other public sector entities build and develop financial markets and financial market systems that were better for financial inclusion and access to capital for small and medium-sized enterprises, and really kind of trying to foster a private sector-led, small and medium enterprise-led approach to growth. So those are the kinds of things that I worked on. And then, I was in London for 6 years, and I came back to the United States, and I was mostly that I just kind of wanted to move back home. And I was then headhunted to the Milken Institute to run the Center for Financial Markets. And there I did a lot of work on, again, the same kinds of issues, financial inclusion, access to capital, and some of the big issues there around, housing finance reform and that kind of thing. And that's where I fell down the rabbit hole of crypto, and spent the last 8 years there. And also there from the Center for Financial Markets, I built out another center called the Center for Global Development, and I did a lot of work again there with emerging markets and developing countries. And then I left after 8 years there, just time to do something new, and here I am.
Yeah, I think it's the last time that anybody is allowed to ask your background. You've said it 2 or 3 times today.
Well, I just wanted to ask, so I wanted to be sure that everyone knew who she was and what her experience was, because I think it's a major turning point for the ecosystem as far as if anyone who follows my research and the beginnings of Algorand and how, I just wanted to basically everyone to know that we're in good hands, and, the community is very excited to have you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that very much. And there are things that I'm better at, and things that I'm not as good at, and things that I know, and things that I need to learn. And I the only thing I will promise you is that I'm not going to pretend to be somebody that I'm not, and I'm not going to pretend to know things that I don't know, but that I am 100% committed to doing the best job with this foundation, with this amazing team that we have, and with this amazing protocol that we have. That we know that we work for you guys, so we're committed to doing the best job we can.
Hi, Stacey, it's Eldar again. Sorry, I have to interject. You mentioned CBDCs, and this is something very dear to my heart because of my background. What I would really like to see from Algorand Foundation, and ultimately from you, is to be an advocate of CBDCs. I know that Algorand is working with over 20 governments already on this, but reality is that a lot of community sees an Orwellian side to CBDCs without realizing that if government really wants to track them, they can really easily do that now. I mean, me personally, last time I used cash was probably about 3 years ago. So if anyone wants to really go into my records, they can see where I'm spending my money. But really the point being here is, for the CBDCs, and especially for, ultimately being programmable money, and the fact that, the corruption that we are seeing in, countries that are stricken by, either natural disasters or wars and so on, a lot of that money basically just goes missing. And I know this, firsthand because of my background. I'm not going to go into it now. So that is one thing. And then also you mentioned team. Yes, you do have an amazing team. And I know that you have as a crypto advisor, Naval. I've been following him for quite some time now. I haven't single time heard him mention Algorand. I mean, can I have that job, please? And it's not a criticism, but it really is kind of, he's so famous, very thoughtful and so on. But what is the point of having an advisor who doesn't even mention once that he is an advisor to Algorand?
I will say that he is not an advisor to the foundation, and I only talk about the foundation. So I have no insight into that at all.
Elder, it's not a tribunal. It's not a trial. Please.
And it shouldn't be a trial, but also, I'm Stacy. I really have the deepest respect for you, and I really admire you what you've done in your career. And I also, there are certain parts, from frustration that is, in Algorand community that I'm mentioning. Nothing else. I mean, I wouldn't be invested in Algorand. And it's not about the price. I have always been very open to, about this. I'm a, long-term holder, all the way to 2030 and beyond. For me, it really is about, Algorand having voice and being heard, for what ultimately Algorand tech is. And that, Kelly has done an amazing job, hats off to her, and she's doing it, but she needs help, and she needs help, from every single angle possible.
Well, I will definitely say amen to that. I mean, you'll have no disagreement from me on that. 100%.
Fred, you had a question? Please go ahead, Fred.
Thank you very much, Bilal. I truly appreciate you bringing me to speaker board today. Stacy, it's very exciting to have you join us today. I truly appreciate your time. As a quick introduction, my name is Fred, and I'm the Foundation's Ambassador and Community Champion here in Brazil. And I have a question for you that got me very curious. It goes back a little longer in time, actually back to when you joined Algorand as the Foundation as a board member. My question to you is, why did you choose to get involved with Algorand over any other blockchains? Why Algorand, touched your heart, basically?
Yeah, I was actually headhunted for the role, and I will tell you that I didn't, I was pretty engaged. I wasn't as engaged as you guys are, and I was not as engaged as I am now, but I was not, ignorant of what was going on in the blockchain and crypto ecosystem. And when I was headhunted for it, I had never heard of it. I mean, really, I'd never heard of it. And so, but I thought to myself, well, it's a board position, and I one of the reasons that I left the Milken Institute was that I wanted to the ecosystem was just moving too fast, and I couldn't balance all of the different programs I had. So I made this decision in the spring that I wanted to kind of go all in. And as you probably know, I sit on the board of the Global Blockchain Business Council, and I have other kind of feet in the sandbox already. But I thought this would be a good opportunity, but I didn't know what it is, what it was at all. But when you're trying to prepare for a board position, and it's a kind of obviously I want to be prepared. The more I read about it, and the more I learned about it, I mean, I had that same feeling that I had back in 2014 when I first understood the proof of work in Bitcoin, and I was like, oh my God, this guy Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he is, he's a genius. I mean, the idea that you could solve the double payments problem in this way. I mean, we all have our moments, right? Where we first kind of, what they say, fell down the rabbit hole. And I had that feeling then. And I thought Ethereum was super cool also, of course, this idea of programmable money. But I kind of was in this steady state about things until I saw how the Algorand, how the pure proof of stake consensus mechanism worked. And I just had that same feeling, like, this is so elegant and it's so beautiful. And like all elegant and beautiful things, it seems kind of obvious when you look at it in hindsight, right? But I went from never hearing about it to saying, oh boy, I really hope they pick me to be on this board, because it's like, they're driving a Maserati that kind of nobody knows about. Like, seems very, very, very not hard to me, to make this better. And I think I said this at the beginning of the call, but it's what bears repeating now. I think we're the only ones that can scale to the level of the problems that I care about, to solving the problems that I care about, because you cannot reach the constituencies that I care deeply about with high transaction fees, with the gas fees on Ethereum. And you can't do it with 15 or 20 transactions per second, right? You need the relentless focus on scale, low transaction costs, and in a carbon neutral platform that only Algorand can deliver. So for me, it's the real deal, and it's the solution, and that's why I wanted to be on the board, and that's why I couldn't be more proud to be the CEO of the foundation.
This is music to our ears. Thank you very much.
I think that Fred is very well respected, and there's a lot of folks in this room who are sort of various stages of unofficially official as far as running, their own outreach programs. Even Swenner's got his podcast, Better on Blockchain. We got Ibu in here, C. Will, myself. A lot of folks who sort of reach outside of the necessarily the Algorand community, try to bring new folks in. And one of the things that I hear consistently is that there's a bit of an identity, misalignment or crisis with Algorand. And it sounds to me, and this is not a zero-sum question, maybe you can just, answer, what focus would be, but is it to make Algorand a cryptocurrency for microtransactions so that to reach those constituents for low-cost exchanges where it's, mostly retail, I guess, or is there still going to be significant focus on creating, applications, industry style utility for, backbone systems like El Salvador, moving around, medical data, that sort of thing, which is more important, and why maybe?
Oh, well, I think I shared my two buckets earlier in the call, but I'll go through that in a maybe a little bit more abbreviated way again. But when I think of our strategic priorities, I think that there's a real world application trajectory, which is very important. And that for us, I think you can call it in a word, a focus on payment and financial inclusion mechanisms. So there, it's the partnerships we have, as I said, with Women's World Banking and Save the Children in the Philippines and things like that, that we're very focused on in the medium term. And I think that's, at our core, what Silvio has always talked about us being about. Where the foundation focuses on there is really the impact and inclusion element of that. Algorand Inc., in my understanding, is also talking about more kind of TradFi and industrial and commercial type plays there, but that's not something that I have any kind of more insight into than you do. But for us, we're very focused in that kind of real world space on impact and inclusion partnerships. Another world is the crypto ecosystem and DeFi and creator economy and Web3 and NFTs, DAOs, and making sure we have bridges to other chains and how we're going to, just become a much bigger presence in the crypto world. And that is very much our focus for 2022. 100%. So these are not mutually exclusive, but the stuff that we need to, everybody at the foundation to wake up worrying about is how are we going to grow the economy and the ecosystem of Planet Algorand to be bigger and more vibrant every day. And that's what we're going to be laser focused on for the next 12 months.
And I like the idea of Silvio Micali calling Algorand a public good, basically, because it's a fundamental service we can bring to humanity. And yeah.
So your plans for marketing are very impressive. The investment in the community, that's definitely what we need. As far as ease of use for mainstream adoption of people who are integrating DApps, integrating smart contract functionality into their existing websites, how do we become the AWS of blockchain?
That's a good question.
Farwan, you have a question?
Hi, so I really quickly wanted to shout out to Elgato NFT project because you mentioned WWF before, and they have consistently been sending a share of their proceeds to WWF. Something else is I just recently learned about C3. I didn't know that existed, and that seems like a huge part of the Algorand infrastructure, being able to handle Ethereum transactions. And why am I just hearing about this now? This seems like something major and no one seems to be talking about it.
Are those guys on?
Still, yeah, I don't know if anyone, I was going to say if Ninos or Nino or Michelle are on.
Or Michelle or, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're still in build mode. So I think they're, I think people that are paying attention kind of have a heads up on what's going on there. But I think we'll hear more and more from them as they get closer and closer to going live and moving on their journey.
They'll be at East Denver, so maybe
they'll be at East Denver. Yeah. And they're
right.
starting to make some noise now. They're poking their head up a little bit more, for sure.
Yeah.
That is
one thing worth. I'm sorry.
Oh, just saying that very exciting. You're all good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't speak for C3, but we know those guys well, and the technology that they're planning on using is worth sort of highlighting, It's one of these sort of hidden things that again touches upon the fact that Algorand has this really skilled set of cryptographers, and they've innovated this concept called state proofs, where you can essentially put into one block the state of the entire blockchain. And by doing that, and if you have another chain that's doing the same, you can essentially communicate information to other blockchains. So this looks like information transfer and then also token transfer. So this is like a really safe way to basically bridge tokens. So they were planning on using that with Ethereum, and I'm like super excited about bridges that can be built using this amazing technology that Algorand has to other ecosystems.
Yeah.
And hoping that it sort of becomes like the gold standard of bridge building.
It's well said, John. You are very eloquent there. And I'd also suggest if anyone wants to dive into that a little bit more deeply, there was a session at Decipher, I'm pretty sure it's up on the Algorand YouTube channel, called Chain of Chains. And it's a lot of conversation from a couple of the team at C3, a couple of the team from Arrington Capital, just talking about all of that in a deeper way. And it is super cool. And I think that Rotem is also going to be going out to East Denver to have this conversation a little bit more too. So hopefully we can get some recordings on some of that to share that out more broadly.
I will say that was my favorite session at Decipher.
It's so good. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. And I think, I know everybody here knows this, but let's not forget, and Stacey, you alluded to some of the more traditional financial applications. And, we, from our side at the Inc., we get a lot of this where large multinational organizations will do their due diligence. They look under the hood, and more often than not, they end up on our doorstep because of the tech, because of what John just laid out, right? And so I think it's exciting to see more and more of that happen. And as these things come to be, whether it's the contract to contracts or the state proofs or all that jazz that's coming down the pipe from Paul Regal and the rest of the team, I think it's going to be fun to see.
Well, if you say that,
Mighty Che, do you have a question? Mighty Che, have a question?
Oh my gosh, guys! I'm over here in the thick of making my meal, and I forgot that I even raised my hand. Good day to everyone. Bilal, Marketplace, Stacy, Kelly. Yeah, I'm just an artist guy. I just wanted to show some love and come into this room because Marketplace so often holds these spaces, and then I just came by this surprise, and oh my God, these big names in Algorand, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah. So I'm not the best speaker.
Mighty, what are you making? What are you making? Football food?
I'm actually this is my first meal of the day, and I dabble in a little bit of fasting on Sundays, and yeah, I was gonna head out, and I was like, wait, I gotta eat something. So I'm doing that right now. So I'm like on breakfast mode. I just really wanted to say and express my thanks, to you guys, Stacy and Kelly especially, man. You guys made it a lot more receiving and open for a guy like me. I'm just an art guy. I'm not the most technical savvy. I just got into crypto and NFTs not so long ago, and I see you guys always participating in these spaces and showing love to other artists and whatnot. Just wanted to express my thanks, if anything. I'm just sitting here being the love sponge that I am, absorbing and saying as much knowledge as I can. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I know you guys are awfully busy.
Thanks, Mighty.
You know what, Mighty? Yeah. And Mighty, I think the whole thing is about artists and inclusion. And in a way, Algorand is doing that for you, because that's what we need to do for musicians, for artists, and I think it all comes down to you using it. And thank you for chiming in.
No, absolutely, anytime.
Thanks, Mighty. Ibu, you had chimed in, and then we lost it after a second.
I'll just let Mighty Chase speak. But okay, so if you're in this call, you probably are aware that Algorand technology is on a technically extremely advanced and capable level. So you're hinting that you got big players, I guess, coming to your doorstep. Who and what? And if you can't say who, when will we hear about these supposed big plays or big partnerships? You know, I feel like Eldar was saying, it's like we hear a lot of like whispers, but I feel like we have yet to hear like a few of those big groundbreaking announcements, like this company or nation state or whatever is using the Algorand technology. So when do you think we can look forward to some of those type of announcements?
I think anything that's that big or that like is that a huge country, I think there's a time lag. Like I know we've had back and forth with this with Elder. Like a country's not just going to make a move and then be a thing. Like these things take time. So especially when you look at, you know, Stacy's bringing on some of the Stacy's talking about some of the more complicated use cases. Like stuff doesn't happen overnight. So you know, I mean, I don't know. It's not up to us. It's open. Like anybody can use it. And people are doing due diligence and people are seeing some of this. So I'm sharing this anecdotally, but I don't think we'll know when some of these bigger things are going to get announced, and some of them take really long time.
Of course. Well, do you know what kind of ideas that these groups or entities would use the chain for? Can you share any, like, what are their concepts for how to utilize Algorand?
I think there's a lot that's opened up with some of the stuff that's coming down. I think contract is really exciting. I also think state proofs and what's coming with a lot of the like more nuanced things with the tech. I know everyone gets really focused on the performance, but you know, that'll happen. The team is working on that in a way where it doesn't break or nothing crazy terrible happens, but the performance is fine. But the chain can handle what it's being used for now and then some. Like I think we could increase tenfold, right? So the performance will happen, but I think we shouldn't be remiss at looking at that's why I asked that question to earlier about, to Ryan about what's the first exciting thing that's going to be live with contract, because I think some of the spicier tech, how it gets used and how people are going to get creative, and it's stuff we haven't even really thought about yet. So I think what we see coming out of the more nuanced and very complicated blockchain tech is going to be the more exciting bits and parts here.
I can talk about a couple of things coming up though. We have just inked a deal. Oh, there's dogs. Hang on, I gotta go on mute.
Yeah, the dog has
Sorry
the
about
power.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Stacy, I'm going to announce Stacy Warden for the win. I'm going to announce a few things, and here they are. We've inked this. Oh, the dogs! I got to run.
They have no respect for me. So we have just inked a deal with a the biggest mobile phone manufacturer in Africa. The CEO is a longtime friend of mine, and he has come to the sort of realization, and I think genius realization, that Africans can afford smartphones. They just can't afford them all at once. And so he is launching, this is very early stage for him, but our deal is done, where he is going to make and not just his phones, he's inking deals with licensing providers and phone manufacturers, Apple and all kinds, that you will pay I think it's $30 up front for the phone and then 30 cents a day, and then for that subscription model you're going to get his tech stack in your phone, and every year you'll be able to upgrade the phone. And this is really incipient now. He's launching, I think the pilot is in Tanzania, but the Algorand wallet will be embedded into that tech stack. And so we'll be able to offer wallets, and those wallets will be able to take algos where people can earn interest for maybe the first time in their lives on their savings. They will also be able to take USDC. He's also building a neobank on the back of it, so they'll be able to put this into local currency. And this is potentially hundreds of millions of wallets possibly in Africa that we can come from, that will come from this deal. And then, of course, I start thinking, what are the insurance products? How can we really make these, the financial life of these folks more secure? In the United States, this is sort of more not quite done. So I don't want to name any names, but we've been in talks for 6 months now, probably, with a couple of disaster relief organizations in the United States, where again, this can be just transformational, right? Where you're a disaster relief organization and there's all kinds of fraud. Like, was my house really flooded? Am I standing in front of my neighbor's house and trying to collect? Did I collect money from, the state relief agency and then also FEMA? So from a charitable point of view, you're also a bit nervous. And then from the recipient point of view, you're nervous because, this stuff has happened to your house. Your living room is flooded. Are you going to get the money that you were promised on time? So both parties don't really 100% trust each other. And of course, blockchain is just perfect technology for this, where you take a picture of yourself and you have this as a digital asset. You take pictures of your house, and then, based on that, a smart contract will send you the money right away, and then it'll understand that you've gotten money from this relief agency, so you're not allowed to have it from that relief agency. And we're like super excited about that. That has a chance of not working. So like I say, we haven't inked the deal yet, so I can't say that it's absolutely, but I'm pretty confident about it, or I wouldn't be mentioning it. And so we've got, this is kind of the pipeline of this stuff that I think is in that sphere that you were asking about, that we're super excited about, and more to come, of course.
Awesome. Thanks, both of you, for those answers. Thank you so much. That was cool.
Malcolm, you got any questions?
Behind the mask, I think, had a question.
I'm actually coming to you from Denver with Wilder. We're walking towards the R right now. I wanted to say what up.
He's in the field right now, East Denver, bringing it. I love it. I wish I was there.
Repping the green blockchain. I got the Algo Gems hoodie on. It's looking good.
It's all about the swag.
I may have to head out there with my Guana hoodie. Stacey, Bilal may know this. He just came from a visit out there to Africa, but there's a huge market for top-ups on cell phones and a lot of other things people use their cell phone for interaction with.
Right.
Any chance Algo will be used in that ecosystem?
Yeah, but I think it will be, these are, actually the very first known use of a cryptocurrency was airline top-up minutes. That's how those guys were. This is like in the late aughts, before the paper, that these Africans would understand that if they, and I wrote a Milken Institute review article about this, actually, which lays it out in a little bit more detail, but basically they were trading airtime miles, and they figured out also how to do it, airtime minutes, not miles, figuring out kind of how to do it where they were never going back out into the fiat, on-ramping out back out into fiat, so that the telcos were never actually making any money, because the telcos only kind of made money on the fiat on and off ramps. And yeah, it's Africans. They are, because necessity breeds invention, right? They are much more technically savvy. I would say most Africans, but lots of Africans, very, very technically savvy compared to your sort of average, American, I would say, on this kind of thing, on payments in particular. M-Pesa is a well-known example of that, of course.
Yeah, I was really impressed. Even in the street in Nigeria, you can literally buy and sell Bitcoin. Like, it was wild, but so interesting how people find ways to solve their own problems. When you have a problem, you're the first one to think about it and how to solve it. And they have access to Bitcoin, like it's incredible. And not only Bitcoin, we have now a small community of farmers using algos, using Fame, and I think it's something I'm passionate about, and it's something we need help, but it's growing naturally. Preach V, please join in.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for letting me come up. Wanted to say thank you to Miss Warden for taking the call. So I've been banging the drum for Algorand probably every day for the last 2.5, 3 years. And I've been attempting to reach out to the foundation and the marketing team for almost the exact same amount of time. So what do you, Ms. Warden, think the best channel is to get into direct communication with the foundation and the marketing team? I think that it would be very useful for some of us in the community to have the ability to communicate directly with a representative, maybe give, just basically some access, right? And so that we can have a dialogue about what we need and what's coming down the pipeline. I don't want to reduce it to just talking points, but it would also be great to have like a pro-con list of what Algorand provides versus other L1s, a quick link that I can just give someone who is asking me about Algorand, and they can just look at it, you know, just like a single page visual. You're like, all right, these are the pros, these are the cons, this is what they're better at than these other protocols, this is what they're worse at, stuff like that. So how do we move forward with a channel of communication? And yeah, basically that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, first of all, in communication, I mean, I think what you're really going to want to do is you'll want to reach out to Kelly Callahan directly, and I can give you her home phone number if you have a pen ready.
Amazing, Stacey, amazing.
No, look, we have an email address, and I don't know what it is, but for sure I will. Yeah, I don't know there, but I know that there is.
Yeah, and this becomes a challenging topic because things change a lot quickly, right? And Stacey, you and I have talked about this too. How do you make sure everyone's up to speed on what the latest is, what the greatest is? And we like just the 20 minutes of me listening to this, we've got new tech coming, there's new adoption, there's new usage. And so it's hard to constantly, I mean, it would be a couple people's full-time job just to make sure that everybody has those talking points on any given day because it changes so quickly. So I think we have to find the right balance of, you know, a self-serve ecosystem directory, you know, somewhere where you can always see and understand what's trending. It's like, you know, pull out the brains of what's happening with the best of Twitter for Algorand and put that somewhere. So I hear you, I get it, and I think there's better ways to do it, but I also just have a little patience because it's changing constantly. And so figuring out a model where you all can pull what you need to say Algorand, better, faster, cheaper, and it works, and the proof points behind that, I get it, and we'll get there with the foundation and more.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. So my second thing is, earlier in the call, you mentioned something about increasing the marketing presence or the marketing budget. How do members of the Algorand community get access to some of those funds so that we can mobilize?
I think that is also a very good point. Look, I've got kind of like a three. So the answer to that is I don't know yet. So we're going to have a comprehensive kind of marketing strategy. So you have to bear with me, but I understand the importance of grassroots marketing. Believe me that I do. I completely understand the importance of it. In terms of information available, when I joined as a board member, it was very hard for me. I know what you mean. You just want a couple of slides on a deck that you can show quickly when you're trying to, you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
engaging in these 50-minute tweet storms with people who clearly don't know what they're talking about.
Right. And you don't want to say the wrong thing. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to make sure you've got the gold standard that you know, that you can be confident that, you know, it came and you can just send it out. So we're absolutely going to prepare those materials. And I have sort of firsthand pain on that as a board member. So I know we need that stuff. We need to have that stuff at hand from a foundation perspective. Kelly has also got she's got sort of very creative ideas about how we might have, as she alluded to, a better and more robust kind of online presence around that kind of stuff, for sure. And then, you know, the last thing I would say, though, is just that, and, you know, I've said this a couple of times on here and on Twitter, I think, or maybe in the first interview I gave, that we're really going to be quadrupling the number of community leads that we have. And so they'll be really you know, we just need boots on the ground where the action is. And so those will also be very important points of contact for you to, you know, figure out what's going on and to interface with them and to know what's going on much more regionally as well. You know, because the bigger we get, the more we're going to have a regional focus where people are very locally attuned to what's going on in, you know, a country like Brazil, for example, or elsewhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. And let me just end my little, well, whatever getting called up is. I want to welcome you to the Algorand family. And I'm so glad you're here. I looked you up the other day when you came on, and you're a very impressive person, and I'm looking forward to what you bring to the table.
Thank you so much. I really, I appreciate that very much from all of you guys.
And everybody else who's spoken before, have a wonderful day. I'm going to leave the call and then jump back in, so I'm not taking up space.
Thanks, my friend, for your question. And just to add to what Kelly and Stacy said, one good, very easy way is to just reach out to the ambassadors like myself, and there are many great ambassadors in the community, you can just reach out, and we have all the links, and we can share. We can even like give presentations for people, and even talk to university. So don't be shy to reach out to the ambassadors. We are here for that.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Hello.
Hard to hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
can't really hear you,
something's
man.
up with your mic, man, or your connection to here. I'm not sure if you have the phone close enough to your mouth or something's wrong with your mic.
What about now? Is it closer? Louder?
Yeah, sorry, we cannot hear you, my friend.
Yeah,
Angels,
I'd
Angels, you have a
recommend.
question?
Yeah,
All right, now.
just real quick. Just quit behind and rejoin, and we'll get you back up here. You probably just have a bad connection right now, Matt.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, first of all. Stacy, thanks for being with us. I'm going to jump right into my question. I know you said you didn't have too much in-depth experience in Algo, and I don't know if you know or are familiar with the verification systems that we have in place, but I was wondering what your thoughts are on the verification systems that we have, and not necessarily what you would do and what we should do in the future, but more towards what we currently have in place.
You mean the verification of ASAs?
Yes, both the Algo Explorer verification and the Algorand Inc.
Oh, okay. It's already decentralized. You know, it's yeah. Sorry, Stacy.
No, carry on. I have nothing intelligent to say about this right now.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you. Sorry for
Yeah,
taking up your
I'd say
time.
just don't forget that like whoever has that medium is who's doing the verification, so that is centralized to some degree. Like I don't know what block explorer you're talking about. If you're talking about the Algo Explorer, which is built by Rand Labs is figuring out how to verify those. You know, the wallet has been temporarily halted while it goes through an upgrade. So you know, I think we'll see more. I think there's better ways of doing that and better ways of vetting. And again, Stacy and I have talked about this in terms of how do you upvote projects and how do you leave it to the community to create some credibility around some of this stuff as it launches and gains traction. So I think more to come on that.
Yeah, and we had this conversation last week. You remember, Cody and Monty? Last week was a very long conversation on that. So, and it keeps coming back, and it will come back. So if you stay tuned, we will go deeper on that subject.
I just want to add a quick statement to that. Just understand those check marks are not a form of due diligence. They just make sure the website matches what they presented. And then I think we shouldn't really rely on like the community. I meant the Inc. or the foundation to do due diligence for us, because they would essentially act as gatekeepers. I believe that the community could easily build a DAO, you know, and like, hey, we got all these developers on here.
Good point.
We got developers, we got, you know, financial experts, etc. You know, we went through the thing, we just studied the team, and even like there's some teams that don't want to be doxxed. So this might be a good way for us to do verification through like, you know, an NDA, be like, hey, we looked into the team, we can't tell you who they are, but we can go ahead and tell you that we trust them, and we gave our, you know, vote on this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't 100% know what you were talking about, but I did listen in on this conversation that you guys had 2 weeks ago, I think it was, on this, and yeah, I thought that was a very interesting conversation about that, and it certainly got a lot of hair on it for sure in terms of an issue.
Well, it would be nice to have you again on these talks, Stacy, and go more in depth about the verification, because we have talked about it and we will continue to talk about it. Because I think the term verification, first of all, should be changed. It doesn't make sense. It's not the definition of what it truly is. And I also disagree with the centralization of it.
Citrus.io isn't going to offer any verifications, but it will provide a formula or a format forum for folks to give feedback on various projects, and what, you know, positive, negative, anything. It's just open.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say that we should be sprinting to private verifications as fast as we can, because right now the amount of effort it takes to verify and the signal that a Algorand verification gives people in general just don't do enough research to understand what it means. So it'll always mean more if an Algorand Inc. Verifies it. So having, like, I would prefer there would actually be more verification, like private verification services out there, and Algo Inc. not do it at all, personally.
Yeah, I totally agree with Chris. That's I think it's the future of our community.
Yeah, I think everyone's on the same page. The Inc. shouldn't be doing it. That's right.
And I think for those who know, we're currently working on that. So hopefully we'll have something available as sort of a community validation type of platform.
Shill alert.
And coming here is kind of a test, you know, like the project that came here. We have such a nice group of a great group of technologists and different professions here. So when a project comes here, we immediately know after 1 hour what's going on there. So
it's like the Bilal test. I like that. It's a new thing.
Oh yeah, maybe I should brand that.
So I have a very interesting question to the community. I was together with someone yesterday who has a lot of algos, and she asked me what happens if I die with my wallet.
More scarcity.
The money's gone, yeah.
Isn't the answer for this rekeying or something? Someone talked about this a while ago.
I mean, I've heard somebody's strategy. They have, like, if he dies, he has an email that gets sent to his parents with, like, his keys, and he has, like, those on a hardware wallet and cold wallet. So I don't know. It's just whatever you want to do. I would say, like, have a contingency plan for if you die, someone should be able to access your money. So yeah, just think about that. How would you do it with normal cash?
Yeah, like a treasure. Like there should be a treasure map on it, probably.
Yeah, but normally when you die, normally when you die, there will be a lawyer, solicitor who will, you know, take care of business and do whatever it takes.
Maybe for you.
Well, in most developed countries that is, but we should all consider this, because if as we advance, mass adoption will also be asking questions like this.
Well, I want to maybe take this opportunity to give a plug to our amazing cryptographers, because this is this is not a problem that's going to be solved this year or next year, but a project that they are working on is called Secrets on the Blockchain. And that would enable you, you know, when we get there and they get the cryptography right on it, that you could put your will on the blockchain with a smart contract without having to reveal the contents of that will, but that it would automatically execute and send your algo where it needed to be upon your death.
Exactly my thought. That would be so wise.
Yeah. I do know, Addie, I see Addie, you're on here. I don't know if we can give you the mic to see if you have anything to add to that or anything else we've been talking about recently. Did I lose? Are you still on? Let's see if you're still on. Oh, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm adding Addie, if she can speak. How are you doing, Addie? Can you speak here? Maybe not.
Sometimes her connection's a little off, huh?
Yeah, but I think she can.
Yeah,
But
it's just Twitter.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that Chris has an answer to my question, if I know him right.
I mean, I will echo that there are lots of solutions, and there hasn't been the right one picked yet. It's a matter of, it feels like this is one of those aspects where custody and trusted agents, part of the equation comes into the equation. And yeah, I mean, I have lots of ideas on how this would be solved, but truthfully, this is a problem for tomorrow and not for today for me. So what I would say. And Addie's probably putting her kids to bed. That's usually what she does around this time.
Debonair, you got a question?
I've got to hop off in 11 minutes. So if anybody has anything they want to make sure that they ask me on this session, I'd be happy to answer it. Otherwise, I just want to thank you guys so much for the warm welcome on Twitter and in this room, and just to say that I'm as excited as you are, and I think it's going to be a great year going forward for sure.
Hi, Stacy. I actually had a question for you. As a husband who's been trying to get his wife involved in the space for quite some time, and I heard you mentioning how to get women involved. Is there any type of initiative with getting more women into the Web3 technology?
And you're definitely going to want to listen to my talk at ETH Denver.
I'll have to send mine there, dude, because I've been spending years trying to explain it to mine.
I will say this from experience: buy them a cute NFT, and that's a good starting point.
Well, that's exactly how I got my wife involved, is buying her first NFT. I actually got her a second NFT just recently for our 16th anniversary. So I'm getting her involved and trying to explain to her how to invest and how to understand the technology, because she's a school psychologist by trade, and I don't really see too much psychology in the space yet, but I would like to see some type of. Sorry.
Look, I mean, my answer is a little bit glib, but I have always, I think it is incumbent on women that are more senior in their professions to do what they can to bring other women into the fold and to help raise them up. So that's absolutely going to be something that, people like Addie and people like Kelly and I are going to be very focused on, because we care about that very much. And so, we are going to have, the women's breakfast at Denver. I think it's the first time we've done something like that. We will be making an announcement about a partnership. In my speech, we've been kicking around ideas about, women on, Planet Algorand, and how we might have some events and things like that for us, and some a bit more targeted efforts around, teaching how to code and learning about crypto, and just, in a way that, it's not that it needs to be, dumbed down for women or made cute for women, but, sometimes there does need to be a bit of a safe space, for women to learn these kinds of things and to be with each other while they're doing it. So I think we're gonna come up with some pretty cool ideas for that, for sure.
And I'm sure Addie has many ideas about this. Addie, how are you doing?
Addie's
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yay, my mic is working. Finally. Yeah, just to echo Stacy, we have a lot coming through the pipeline, and previously and currently we're also working with Women Who Code. We have about 400 women lined up currently to work on Teal and Reach initiatives, in addition to some things with the Warhol Foundation. So I think with everything she's plugging in ETH Denver as well, I'm really excited for this year, and obviously having a new woman in the house leading it, I think will really change and give us a sea change in terms of giving us new opportunities to bring in more women into the space and sort of bring visibility to women who are doing important work within cryptography and the blockchain.
And Addie, I think you're just like the number one role model on this kind of thing. I mean, you're so deeply technical. I mean, you're deeply technical in a way that I can only aspire and dream of being, but at the same time, you're also so artistic, and you're a normal person that can talk to people easily. And so I just think, the idea that, women can see themselves in you is just it's an important piece for us, for sure.
Yeah, I think that it goes for all of us, though. I mean, same for you, Stacy, and everyone else at the foundation. And I guess Kelly's hopped off, but Autumn and Joanna and Tal have all been really great mentors and peers and friends. And I like that we have such a supportive environment at Algorand, and that's part of, I think, what's kept us here and keeps us going and is bringing more women into the space. It's just sort of the attitude of not only ourselves, but our fellow peers and brothers and sisters, and not to get too kumbaya, but everyone in the community is just so opening and accepting. It's been really a great space to be in, and I think that's really reflective of the larger culture that we're building out.
Yeah, 100%. And Tal in particular, I mean, to be such a luminary in such a hardcore technical male-dominated field is really, I mean, it's just an amazing thing. And we're very proud to have, have all these folks as part of the Algorand ecosystem for sure.
Yes, thank you for coming on, Stacy.
Okay, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next week.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Staci.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Yeah, Chris, we need to turn to you. Tell us more about what's going on in Denver. Like,
I mean, if I tell you now, then you won't be able to hear it in Denver.
yes, but you know that you always leak some information here, and we don't want you to stop.
Is that right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got in trouble by my team in the last week by tweeting things that I wasn't supposed to.
And you said a lot here. Like a lot of information came here. Like you released a lot of information in our chat, and yeah, it's So how do you see
my hypothesis is tell people things right away and ask for forgiveness when they change. Say sorry.
Yeah.
This is what you get when you get the information early. Things aren't the same anymore, but at least I tell you as soon as actually it comes to my mind. So that's what it'll always happen. So
and it's
that's what
also
you'll
great
always
to
look
follow the process too. We can follow the process, and it's an industry that is so difficult and so changing and moving. No one has certainties around those technologies, and it's great. Like I really like it.
It's actually like I'm pretty amazed at how flexible people have been for me, and like we're changing things because I think everybody here knows I tell things as soon as they come to my mind. So when they do change, like okay, I guess they changed. So you guys have been all great so far.
I have a particular question, like a precise question to ask you. You know about the new NFV? We came up with this word last week.
Yeah.
You're developing. Can you tell us how the 1.1 can help implement that?
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. So okay, this is what I got in trouble talking about already. So thanks.
I know.
Bilal. You think you're gonna get me in trouble again? So Shanti is gonna go and do a full presentation at Denver about Monarch NFV, but the idea is that it's a DAO of DAOs that the master Monarch DAO will be able to mint community DAOs, and the voting vehicle will be an evolving NFT. But it's an entire ecosystem, economic system that feeds into itself that allows you to not only be a part of an online on-chain community with your NFT, but that same, or I should call them NFVs, but that same NFV gives you voting power over the entire ecosystem as well. So, so we are already actually partnering with some of the top artists in Algorand to be lined up to be building the first communities. But it's actually like a really cool system. And yes, what we use in contract calls, because obviously there's going to be situations where the smart NFTs will be able to be calling the DAO infrastructures. So we've already, as far as Reach is concerned, we've already implemented the ABI, which is the the translation layer that will allow for contract calls to work. So all of the extra projects that are being launched with Reach now automatically fit the current ABI, so they'll be able to be used with new contracts when 1.1 comes out.
Since we have Adi, Adi, please, can you tell us more about what really gets you excited in the art scene at the moment?
I mean, I think a lot of what Chris and I have talked about is sort of this evolution of NFT 1 to NFT 2, and I think Chris was the one that dubbed it Smart NFT. Unfortunately, that was not my idea, but it's a brilliant title, so I'm going to go with it. What I'm starting to get really excited about is seeing more artists thinking about generative NFTs, and when I say generative, I mean to define that in the sense that the work is parametric or reactive and is not necessarily ever repeatable. So when you create the work and then you experience it within the browser as an owner, that work is constantly iterating algorithmically and creating really interesting works. But then in addition to that, sort of seeing NFTs and how they are transitioning or evolving from the current state of just being like a static JPEG or a GIF to actually having attributions and variations and things like the equivalent of like an SSO login that you would use with Google, for example, but actually using NFT to unlock certain experiences or spaces in the metaverse. And I think that there's this huge, potential. We're sort of at like for those of you that are old enough to remember the Lycos of, we're kind of the Lycos stage of NFTs, and I think that we have a long way to go. So I'm very excited to see how that's evolving and that artists, especially, starting to push that. Go for it, Chris. Chill.
You're such a nerd.
What?
Dropping Lycos. I bet a very small percentage of people on here actually know what Lycos is.
Chris and I like the amount. I think actually like we should just publish our DMs as white papers because like we go deep sometimes.
You guys need to mint those white papers.
Yeah, maybe we should. We can NFT them.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree with the whole the smart NFTs and like procedurally generating from the actual on state, like the state of the NFT is gonna be a lot of fun when it comes to art. And there, I mean, to tie. So I'm gonna try to give you more information without actually giving any more alpha. Without getting in trouble. I'm gonna probably fail. I'm gonna get yelled at. But one of the partners that we're working with is looking to not only use the NFV that is being created, but to actually for the voting, but to tie it into the metaverse and create virtual worlds with owning these NFVs. So I think that's all I can actually like give information about. So yeah, no, like tying the whole idea of the on-chain ownership and contextually give you other access to other things because of the ownership, even though that the NFV itself already has utility in another place, is super exciting when it comes to NFTs.
I told you I still want 75% of the company because I came up with NFV.
I told you, Ibu. I gave you 100% of the company that I already terminated. I created a new company.
It's the pre-rug rug. I remember this conversation. I was there. I'm not even sure we're at Lycos. I think we're Ask Jeeves stage.
And Ibu, I mean, like, he gave you the Reach thank you tokens, man. Like, you're going to make it alone with those.
True. Probably going to
Legit.
retire off those, honestly. Hopefully, Algofam adds lending support for Reach thank you tokens. Because then I can get like millions and millions of dollars. It'll be so sick.
I mean, Reach thank you tokens, I'm pretty sure are worth $1 million a piece at this point. Not investment advice.
Wait, there's 10 million of them. $1 million. Wait, so that's like, I don't even know. Can't even do that quick math right now. But that's it's a pretty big market cap for Reach thank you tokens. That's alpha right there.
You said it, not me.
Chris, actually, I wanted to know, like, do you think we can upgrade old NFTs to become smart NFTs? Is it possible in the future?
100%. So the cool thing about a smart NFT is that it's just a smart contract. And what you'll see is that people will create smart NFTs with a functionality that will allow you to deposit your ASA into that smart contract, and it will then lock in that ASA into that smart contract forever. And then the action of depositing your ASA into the smart contract will transition the owner of the smart contract to the person that deposited it. So it would be almost like an atomic swap type thing, but you would receive the smart NFT from depositing the ASA.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Wow, that is super exciting. Yeah, please, if you have any link, like we can read more about it. Like, maybe there isn't, but like to learn more about this is incredible.
Well, stop trying to get information from me. Shanti's probably already mad at me. Is she in here listening to me?
She's in here, bro.
Everybody's in here.
No, I'm in trouble.
Actually, one of our biggest spaces, consistently like 200 to 250 people in here the whole time. So it's been really dope. Thanks everyone for popping out.
Hey, Paul, can you bring up Brandon? It won't let me accept his invite.
Oh no, Brandon's gonna. Actually, Brandon and Shanti are in here. Oh no.
Hi, Brandon.
I'm in big trouble now.
Yeah, Brandon, you need to punish Chris.
Yeah, I came in. I'm here to monitor Chris, actually, just so I can cut him off in case I need to. But so far, we're good. We got to protect our ETH Denver announcements, but we're really excited about all the things we're working on. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know if you can protect them very well because later today I'm probably going to be, or tomorrow, going to be dropping the interview I did with Chris and Jay, and there was a lot of juicy tidbits in there. So everyone keep an eye out for that.
Yeah,
Wow.
I apologize, Brandon and Shantae. I apologize ahead of time. Sorry.
Yeah,
Is
I
Chris
want
the Tom Holland
Jay to come
algo?
here. How can we bring Jay? We want Jay here. Chris, bring Jay with you, please, next week.
Good luck.
Yeah.
These are on Sundays. He doesn't do anything on Sundays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his family day, man. He ain't coming.
But Ibu had both Jay and I think it was the first interview that had both of us on it.
I know, because I'm just so cool. You couldn't resist.
Nailed it, Ibu.
Yeah, he is. Like, he has the best guest. Like, it's incredible.
It was only an hour long too.
You're just saying that because
that's amazing.
But look at the community on YouTube. We are so strong now compared to last year. We have Monty, we have Ibu, we have GT, we have Seawheel, Recoup. Now the YouTube presence is very, very strong, and it's getting more professional by the week. I'm very impressed by the work you do online, everybody. Like, it's incredible.
Thanks for that.
Chris, are you doing any more better on blockchains? It's been months.
Get off my back.
Damn. Actually,
tell him. We've been trying to get him to get recording, but we do have a plan to do, like, we're looking at it at like season 2. So if you have topics or things that you think we should cover, we're happy to take those in and start planning out a season 2 for Chris and Jay. And one of the ideas that we had, just because there's, he's got a lot, his time is precious, but we are thinking about recording them live and maybe turning them, like, doing a space and a live YouTube, just to make it a little bit more dynamic, and then we can then distill it down into the podcast YouTube form as well. So if that's interesting, if we get enough interest, that'll help us as well, motivate Chris and Jay to get on and talk about those topics.
And then I was about to say, I'll start my first new series I'm starting called Behind the JPEG, where I'm grabbing random NFT artists and learning where they found NFTs, where they discovered their art. I already have 9 artists lined up. I'll go ahead and give you guys the alpha, who's going to be the first one. Dope Cats will be the first one. I have Algorand as well, and then lots more. I got nine artists already on my calendar. We got a day set. And I got my girlfriend ready to edit all those videos, and we're going to get them out to you guys. And that way we can learn more about these artists and get more personal about them.
Can you share the link of your channel in the chat, please?
We'll do.
Owl's been sitting here so patiently.
Yeah, speaking of great NFT artists, Owl's had his hand raised patiently.
Yeah, I'll go the whole, please.
Hey everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Perfectly.
Oh, great. First of all, thank you so much for getting me on. I wasn't sure if I was going to get picked, but I was going to ask a question. Oh my gosh, Fawn's right. I am so nervous right now because the boss is up here. But what I was going to ask was to do with.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, right.
No pressure.
No,
pressure,
because so what happened? What happened was Fawn got the speaker, right, and then he was like, "Yo, just throw me questions that you want me to ask the big bosses, and then I'll ask them." And then he goes on, he shills El Gato, and then you guys kick him off as speaker. Everyone's just like, "What? We got more questions to ask." Anyway, the question that I wanted to ask was more to do with the with Algo Explorer. So a couple of us have talked, and we know that Algorand as a blockchain is pretty stable throughout, right? It hasn't gone down at all once, but it does rely quite a bit on Algo Explorer. And so we wanted to know if there was any plans to maybe have a backup plan or some sort of way to alleviate all the the traffic that's going through that platform, because we know if that goes down, it's kind of like Algorand as a blockchain going down too, right? We've
That's
experienced
not
that sort of. No? Okay. Well, I'm not an expert in any of that. I'm
So
just an artist. So
I'll talk about this a little bit, and I'll explain what it is and what the remedy for it is. So, Algo Explorer, they run nodes. They run nodes and indexers, and they do it in an amazing way. They're not the only ones that run nodes and indexers, but they're the only ones that actually made it that the API is easy to use. So because they made it the way the API really easy to use, everybody started using them. And then it, like, Algorand started growing more and more and more, and then that was just the way to go. You go directly to Algo Explorer and say, give me that data, that sweet data. Now, yes, everybody here in the know agrees that is a broken system, because I mean, you're right that if everybody relies on the indexers or the nodes of Algo Explorer, and Algo Explorer goes down, then everything that relies on them goes down as well. So at Reach, we proposed an ARC and ARC. You probably know them from since you're in NFTs, the ARC 3s and ARC 69s. But ARCs are not only for NFTs. That's what everybody talks about them for. But there's actually several like standards that what they're all about. So Reach suggested, I think maybe like 11 different standards that's pushed to actually fix this problem. And what we propose is pushing the responsibility of pointing to the node to the wallet itself. What this allows for if once people start adopting this, is you as the blockchain user deciding which node that you want to speak to. And by doing this, it allows you to decide if you want to point to a personal node or Algo Explorer, or pay for something at PureStake, or do anything. Because what you're doing then is you're using the blockchain like it was meant to be, like it's a decentralized, like it's actually decentralized. So people are building their own nodes. I mean, I know Algofam has actually stood up some of their own indexing nodes and potentially nodes as well. But at the same time, everybody is doing this, and it'll get better. I believe, if I were looking into my crystal ball, what you're going to start seeing is that when blockchain becomes more mainstream, you're going to start seeing more service providers that all they do is provide premium node services that allow for people that want an amazing experience on blockchain to stand up their own nodes. They'll pay, like, say, $5 a month and have unlimited access and pull requests to their own specific nodes. But all of this comes with more people coming into the space, and something I'm really excited about.
Sweet. Thank you so much for answering the question. I like how you, I was just going to say, I really like how you explain things, because I don't understand any of it, and you explained it like I'm a 5-year-old, so.
I do my best.
He has lots of practice with me, so I try to pop in every now and then, and that's exactly how I ask it. I say, hey, try me like a 5-year-old so that I can explain it. So they do a good job of that.
All right, I'm going to hop off. I'm just going to be a listener for now. But thank you so much.
We don't want to kick you off if you have more questions.
Yeah, no, I'm good for now. I have to go get lunch.
Well, you have my DM, so if you have any more questions, just shoot me a question. I'll be able to answer for you.
All right, for sure, man. Thank you guys so much.
Owl. I'm glad
Bye
you made it.
bye. Thank you.
Can I get a show of hands? How many people in here are going to be at ETH Denver? Not seeing a lot.
Pretty good.
Did you see a bunch?
I mean, I saw a few key figures.
Nice.
I didn't scroll down the entire thing, though.
Cool. What other questions you got? Like I said, I missed the first hour-ish, right?
It was mostly Stacy's question, Stacy's show.
which was really cool to have her here and like come and join us. So yeah,
I'm
you got
super
a question?
super bullish on that.
Yeah, same. Are you guys raising your hands because you're going to be at ETH Denver, or you want to talk?
I wanted actually to add one
I
more
got my
thing.
raised hand to basically apologize for my bumbling self earlier. I was
You're
like,
good, man.
humana. Yeah, guys, that's me. Either way, sorry about that, and hopefully I wasn't
You're good.
exactly like yeah, that stuff could be an assault on the ear sometimes, bro. When you want like information and it's only like a little, slot time that Stacy was here, but yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. I actually got to slide down to listener. I just wanted to say peace to you guys. There was something I wanted to add on earlier, whatever. Saying that I was talking to Market, man, because he had so many requests. I feel bad. I'm like, yo, don't worry about it. There's always next time. But Market, I'll see you in the next row. It was just funny because I got yanked off like with one of those canes. Like, bye. But anyways, you guys, take care. Much love. As always, I'm gonna slide down to listener. I'll be back. I don't know how long you guys are gonna be rocking for. So
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, man. Greg?
Yeah, what do you think, my friends? Do you think we should like try to review the project here every Sunday? That would be interesting.
I mean, we can.
have-
I see that we have AlgoX NFT up here. You got anything to share with us, guys?
Greg had was talking and then he stopped. I don't know. It looked like he left.
I think he got rugged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can give you guys a sense of what we've been updating lately. I think the latest thing we pushed yesterday was our own image caching. So the page should load a lot faster and it should consume a lot less bandwidth, which is always fun. I think that's one of the other things to the point about the nodes that, it's a lot of infrastructure that I'm sure we'll see vendors for in the future.
Can you hear me, guys?
Really cool. Sure can.
Okay. Sorry, Twitter is keeping me off every couple of minutes for some reason. I hope they fix it at some point. But I wanted to add one point in regards to the Algo Explorer dependency. If any of the developers are listening right now, I think you should check out also algonode.io. We are one of the first users of them actually, and we are very, very, very happy with what they provide. Basically, this is exactly the same indexer, exactly the same node API that Algo Explorer uses, but it's apparently 90% faster. I don't know how he did it, but it's working great. So if you're using Algo Explorer so far and you're looking for something more faster or just another option, I would suggest checking them out. They'll probably be building also more projects soon. So it's a very exciting project for me because this basically solves the problem of everyone using exactly the same API, which is the Algo Explorer API.
Do you know if what the rate limits are on that one?
They are very, very high. I think that's 50 requests a second for the free version, where the Algo Explorer API ones is 10 requests a second. So it's 5 times larger.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm guessing there's like a fee for it, a monthly fee,
No,
or is it based on usage?
it's entirely free. It's entirely free, and at some point, if you don't want to use the free one, you will be able to pay for a custom one, I think. But the whole idea is that while I suspect Algo Explorer is running their architecture in AWS, Algonode has very custom hardware built especially for Algorand's indexers and Algorand nodes, so it's much cheaper to run them.
Makes sense. That's exciting. Although, as a marketplace, we're always going to wonder, well, if it's custom, what's the risk there, right?
The software is exactly the same. Although I get your point because the indexer went down one time because there was a bug actually in the indexer software because of the load balancing issue, but it has been fixed already, I think. But everything else, the software, for example, for the indexer is open on GitHub. It's available. It's exactly the same software that Algo Explorer uses. So there will be literally 0 changes to that.
Right. So you said custom hardware, so which is where, we're always like, okay, what does that mean, right? Because and the other one is whether it's free or not, because we obviously love free stuff. I think everybody does, but that, you know, it's similar to Algo Explorer. What do you get in exchange, right? Because usually when you pay, you get an SLA, so you get some level of promised reliability, right?
Yeah, exactly. So our deal with Algonode is that we will start paying only if we get an entire month of zero downtime. That's the deal we have, which is quite pretty good. Yeah, it's quite good. The main developer actually has been working for 112 services, you know, where they pay for every failed API request. So he knows how to build architecture where it cannot go down ever. Which is very nice, and I highly suggest just checking out, because at the moment both the Node APIs and the Indexer APIs are entirely free, and the rate limit is much higher than in Algo Explorer. And if you're not satisfied, you can just go back. There's no cost.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, I guess I'm too shell shocked from the past experience with free stuff, but it sounds pretty good. We'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, good luck. And also, you can if you have any issues, you can also ask Urto on Discord. He's the main developer, and he's also very active in Algorand Discord, and he has quite a lot of actually work done on the indexer itself. So if anyone is expert, I would say it is him. And I'm not getting paid, by the way. I'm just really excited for the architecture that they're doing.
I was about to ask you for your referral code. I didn't want you to miss out.
No, it's entirely free. I just want people to start using it because it's so much better. It was a huge difference for us personally, because, for example, we make a lot of calls because we need to check all the prices in every single round, right? So every 4 seconds there's a round, and we need to check all the transactions that happen inside the round. So there's a lot of API calls that we make, and we can basically provide this instantly. And the feedback is very good. It has so far there has only been one single problem with them, but you know it's just an issue of growing pains really. So I'm sure it's gonna be much better in the future.
Makes sense. By the way, since you're here, I love TinyChart, man. I use it all the time, and it works really well. And we deeply know the challenges of building stuff like that, and it's awesome to see, and it's awesome to see it grow for sure. I go on there daily, hopefully not more than once a day, but you know, and it's almost always works.
Sure, that's great to hear. And maybe you will be coming more than daily when we have wallet integration, because we have quite a lot of per wallet features coming when that's integrated. And you will want to check what's your current portfolio value. But until then, we're entirely satisfied with just you coming once a day.
No, yeah, that's great. I always click on that button, hoping I will be able to connect my wallet.
Greg, are we going to be able to have a announcement soon about Reach or anything anytime soon?
That's the entire question that I have asked Stacy before, because we have actually been blocked by the audit, and initially we didn't want to release anything before the code is audited, you know, to keep the security at the highest level.
Cool. Well, I've been, you know, as much as I'd like to do Leak Alpha, since it's involving you, I haven't been talking about TinyChart as much. So hurry up and remove my embargo so I can talk about things.
Hey, Greg, when do you think you guys are going to integrate the features of the Tiny token, which, he dropped from the, hopefully we can get him back up here as a speaker. He's out. Oh, he just left the call.
Yeah. If I can go ahead.
Damn, that's how he doing me now? Damn.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how do we lose people here.
That's because
yeah.
Greg.
The
application just died.
The features of the token, which will you show on the website, you say it's coming soon, like certain data only for token holders. Do you know when you're going to implement that?
The first ones will come with wallet integration, and the most important core part is already done, because that's the DB script, right? It's the entire core functionality that checks the data and saves the data that you can later query. this is already done now. All I need to do now is just switch the front end basically. So it's pretty much. I'm not sure how much time I'll be able to spend on TinyChart in the near future because I'll be also at Denver, which I'm very excited about. I'll be participating in the DeFi panel, which will be very, very fun. But I think up to 3 weeks, I think, apart from the time I will not be able to code in Denver, 3 weeks worth of time, and we'll be already with the wallet integration part.
Nice.
Dope.
Hey, I have to get going at so in 5 minutes. But so one thing I just wanted to actually say. So you guys always hear me. Hey, shoot me out a DM if you have any questions or anything of that sort. I'm on Telegram, Discord, Twitter, whatever. Don't just send me hi. If you send me just hi, I figure it's a scam. So when you message me like the whole message, and then we'll go from there. So if you hear this, like while I was on this actually Spaces, I got 2 that all it said was hi. So
No, I just like to ramble in your DMs.
I think we should just
I
send
mean,
you
Jeff,
a
I have you
Calendly
blocked,
link.
so I know it's not you, Jeff.
It's actually just me from like every new account I make.
That works. But I can't tell you how many times I just get a hi or a hey.
I just wanted to add, we got a Benedetto in here, and I have to go ahead and just commend him on probably one of the most beautiful UI and UXs I've seen so far in the algo space. And not to mention, he actually, I'm not sure many people noticed this, but he solved the bug with my algo where the pop-up blockers would stop everyone the first time they signed in. And that was just something I noticed like right from the get-go. I'm like, wow, they solved that. That's pretty impressive.
Hi, thank you so much. But actually, it wasn't me. It was my developers team. I don't know how they did, but I'm very happy of the work carried out and the feedback of the community. I thanks them a lot. And yes, we are still upgrading it. If this is good to know, we had this little bug on when the user were trying to borrow everything against the wall collateral that they could commit, and with the new borrow model, it's solved. It's gonna be nice, even better.
Yeah, that UI was extremely
hold up.
clean.
So you figured it out. So you're going to open source how you did that and share it with the rest of the community, please.
I can tell our CTO.
Yes, please. Really appreciate it. That's one of the most annoying things right now is using a new product on the Algorand space, and then all of a sudden it's a pop-up block, and knowing how many people get stumbled up by that is super annoying.
Do we have any update we need to talk about recently? I've seen a few projects, but yeah, if anyone wants to bring an update about their project, please jump in.
Humble audit's going very well. The only feedback whatsoever that we've got so far was you guys didn't put in a backdoor, emergency backdoor into your code, and obviously we know that because I think you've all heard me yell from the rooftops that building in a emergency backdoor makes it less secure than more secure, but everything other than that is going really, really well.
Yeah, I've been using it. It's beautiful and it's yeah, super efficient. Can't wait for. Do you think you will release the code soon, like open source?
We'll release it shortly after actually going mainnet. I mean, our main thing is like we'll probably actually release our front end first, just because we want to because the way that we built it, Humble, is that it requires no servers, so you can actually completely use the entire all swapping functionality locally on your own computer if you wanted to. So we'll probably actually open source that first, and then we'll open source the contract as well.
Wow. Wow. This year will be crazy. Like this year, there is so many projects. They're just waiting for their audit, and things will accelerate very quickly this year. Like this will be insane, my friends.
Yeah, I can give a few updates about our audits too. We concluded the first one with runtime. They spoiled the one potential bug, and we concluded one more, which we will announce soon, that it was successful. Obviously, after firstly solved this mere bug. And we are doing a third one just to be completely sure. I know it's 3 it sounds a lot, but in terms of security, it's never too much. So that's how we see it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Are you gonna, Benito? Are you gonna be out ETH Denver?
No, we can't, because with the testnet we are just so busy. We want to deploy one more feature hopefully this week, because we have a plan for also testing the parameters of the borrow, like different loan value, different under collateralization threshold, and we have to follow the community. It's complex, has so many messages, and so I didn't schedule to go with the team there, also because we want to hit mainnet as soon as possible. And so for this year we will skip, but I'm gonna be in Miami in April, so hopefully following the events there in the month.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I'll be
Benedetto.
down there too.
Sorry. I had a question, Benedetto and Chris, maybe. I was wondering, like, can we program like a compounding interest on a platform like Volksfinance or Algofam?
Yes, you can, also because the transaction it's cheap. So the thing is, we don't do, because it was complex in terms of designing the interest, but the user is free to do, and by calling the operation, they could actually do, but it should be worth to do it, meaning that you should have a big loan. That's usually what market makers they do normally. If they have a big deposits, it's in their interest to do.
Didn't Ryan Fox also say that contract-to-contract calls will enable auto compounding to be built?
Yes, this is feasible, but in our version right now there isn't, so I can't tell.
Yeah, I said, you mean the automated yield farming? Ebu?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be possible but the issue right now is that the ABI spec was actually just released, or like just announced actually not too long ago, and the applications that didn't build for the ABI spec are going to have we'll have to actually change things to update to make sure they work with that new ABI spec for contract-to-contract calls. But it shouldn't be hard for people to modify their contracts to make that work.
So I forgot earlier to bring up, honestly, the big thing we released this week, which was you only have to click once to bid. And I was slowly being driven insane by having to opt in every time. And yeah, we had to change the smart contracts for that. But now buying and bidding on our side is just one click, right? Which,
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, right. If you've ever used it, you know how, especially because we have to wait for the smart contract calls because it's all running on the chain. It just took forever, right, to place a bid.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about those offering feature, because I feel like that's something that just needs to be done on the wider space for the NFT community.
Yeah. What's interesting about that is how do we make that work in, again, a smart contract way? Because we can always we can always do things off the chain, but to a lot of the points raised here, that limits our ability to prove to you what we're doing, right? You can't go look at the contract code, you can't go look at the escrow account, or it's just you have to trust us so much more. And in some ways, you open up possible security issues, right? Because securing the smart contracts is a lot harder. On the other hand, it means that once a contract is deployed, it's deployed, right? Even if your private key were to be compromised tomorrow, then the contracts that are up there are up there. There's no way to go back and say, hey, change this stateless contract, right? So that adds complexity, but we're already doing a lot of the offer stuff on testnet. and we're just figuring out some last minute things, some bugs and stuff, you know. But well, we never give out dates because you never know what's on market, like Nifty's, right, where it's just so subjective, and it really depends what kind of deals you can make, right? And even looking at offers, I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be really interesting, right? Because again, our offers are funded in escrows, which means that the money's there, which is one of the big reasons we went to do auctions in the first place. We saw Twitter auctions, we saw Discord auctions, but the issue there was that we saw sometimes the winner would just disappear, or the winner would say, "Oh, I don't have the money anymore." And so we told ourselves, well, shouldn't it be that, you know, when you submit a bid, you submit the bid with the amount that you're bidding? So too will be the offers, right? I've already seen on Twitter specific cases where people make an offer to buy something, the person takes it off the market, they lose out on the other offers, and then at the end of the day, the person says, "Oh, I don't want to offer that much anymore," right? Or the person said that is selling the piece says, "Oh, actually, somebody offered me more, so I'm going to take the higher offer." I even saw one where, you know, it cost a lot of heartache because it was like, "Oh, hold on, I got to get home," but then it never happened. But with our offers, the money is there. You click the button, the money will be in your account, and the Nifty will be in the hands of the person who offered. So I love that. I love that you can just take action immediately, and you don't have to trust the person making the offer. You don't have to set up any kind of swapper link or anything. You just clicked accept, right? And then you're there.
Cool. Well, guys, I have to actually get going. I'm actually late for a meeting. So as always, shoot me a DM if you have any questions for me. If I don't talk to you before ETH Denver, I'll see you in ETH Denver.
Thank you,
I'll send
Chris.
you a message.
Take it
Saying
easy,
hi,
Chris.
I think, yeah, we've been running it for 2 hours and a half, which is a pretty long one. So I guess, yeah, we can say goodbye and talk to you all next weekend.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, if you are an artist in this space, the Coffee Bean DAO, this is the last week to apply to be the artist to create those NFTs. And it's a pretty lucrative opportunity, worth probably about a few $1,000s, plus you get the royalties as a commission to make the NFTs for this DAO. So just check out Coffee Bean DAO if you're an artist and this maybe sounds interesting, and join the Discord, because we're definitely looking for artists and we want to source from the Algo community. That's all I'm going to say.
Love it.
Awesome. Have a nice Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, and see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, agreed.
Take care, my
Thanks.
friends.
See y'all.
Bye.